going to do another turning project. This one's going to take a little while because of the nature of the resin that I'm going to use. It's a deep pour, but it's a long set. So it's going to take a couple of days for it to harden enough for me to start turning it. But I want to start getting it cast. So what am I going to use? Well, I've got this piece of Arizona ash that I cut out of one of the logs. The pith was in here. I cut this much of it out of the middle. It's dried beautifully. It's been sitting in the shop for 2 years, and it's begun to spalt in places, and you can see that, especially in this other piece here. In fact, it's actually gotten a little bit punky here and here, but I'm not real worried about that. Like I said, I'm going to cast it, but look at the modeling of this spalt. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's just over 1.5 inches thick. I'm going to try to make it into a platter at least 10.5 inches around. And yes, I'm going to leave the bark on. I've laid out this, it's not really a square, it's 11 by almost 10.5, and I'm going to line these up with the sanded side that I did down. So the blank is going to look something like this. So it's not going to have a whole lot of resin in there, but it doesn't really need a whole lot of resin, I don't think, because this wood is just too pretty. This isn't the prettiest mold in the world, but it should work. It's all wrapped with clear packing tape. I've got clear packing tape down on the bottom. Now, what I want to do is I'll heat up my glue gun and I will run a bead around the perimeter and stick this down good. After I get it stuck down, I'll run another bead around the perimeter just to make sure that I have no leakies, but it's nice and flat. It's not moving. It should be okay if I get a good enough bead of hot glue down. Okay, now one thing I am going to do is I'm going to let this cool overnight. It's late and it's about dinner time. So because this is really slow setting resin, I'm almost afraid to put mica powder in it because as long as it's going to take to cure, that mica powder will settle. I'm going to use this Ranger alcohol ink. This is amethyst, so it'll be translucent. That's 10 drops. Wow. It turned that amethyst blue, and it's very weak. Well, I'm not going to keep going with that because I want purple. I'll add some Jacquard purple violet. Well, it's definitely turning more purple. I'm also going to add a little halo violet gold. I'm going to let this sit for about 15 minutes. It's been, I don't know, half hour or so. So I'm going to go ahead and pour a couple hundred milliliters in here and see if it holds. I don't see any leaks so far. I sprayed this with mold release before I put these pieces in. It ain't gonna float now. Some of this is gonna soak into the wood, especially this soft stuff here, but that will largely be turned away, so I'm not too worried about this end over here. I'll leave this sit. I'll check on it every few hours and see if it drops. If it does, it means the wood's taking it in places. So I'll let this drain into there, and I'll come back every few hours and check on it. If I need to add more resin, I will. Okay, let's finish demolding this. I took the other end off the other day yesterday just to check it. Okay. Now let's see if we can pop this out. Look at that. Look at that. Comes right off. It's still a little soft. It's not ready. It's gonna be pretty. It's gonna be a nice platter. I'll run this through my drum sander and get this kind of flat, and then I'll be able to draw me a circle on it where I want it and trim this all up. I've got a faceplate on it. I marked the center and I drew my circles, and then I thought, man, I don't want to cut all this pretty wood off. So I'm gonna turn a square platter. I will probably, this is gonna be the inside, this will be the bottom, so I'll be hollowing it out over here, but I'm gonna leave these corners. I think I'm gonna down droop them just a little. So I'm gonna have down droop corners, and then I'll come in on the bottom with kind of an OG. At least that's the plan right now. Let's get it on the lathe and see what we can do. Okay, I've got this thing on the lathe. It's actually really purple. That makes it look kind of blue on this camera, and it's running pretty true actually. Not bad at all. So the first thing I want to do is drill the mortise for my logo coin. This is the bottom. I'm going to go just a little bit deeper to try to get rid of most of that dimple. I don't want a lot of that dimple in there because it's where the resin is. I'm going to go just a touch deeper to get rid of some of that. But before I do that, I want to flatten, make sure this is nice and flat. It looks really good. I mean, turn it up just a little. Just flatten this off, son. Here right now. You can see my rough mark that I made for the shape that I want. So I'm getting close. I just need to work this out some more. Just a little bit more. That is close enough. Yeah, that cleaned it up nicely. Okay, I've got it sanded to 240. I'm gonna rework the edges pretty much when I'm done. So I've sanded it to 240. I'm gonna apply some sanding sealer. And another, because I'm just gonna raise the grain in, like I want to do it here, and I'm gonna try to sand it. That's pretty. I don't know how to keep this out of the way anymore, but look how pretty that is. This is just amazing. I'll let this dry a little while, and then I will finish sanding this up to 600. Okay, I've got this turned around. I've got it between centers. Now, first thing I want to do is droop these wings and define this edge, and then I'll start hollowing it out. Face shield on just in case. I don't know which view you want. So for the time being, I'll give you both of them. So you can see what I'm cutting here, and you can see it from this way too. Like I said, the first thing I want to do is work on these wings. That's going to work out nicely, I think, if I don't mess up. Okay, that is just about as thin as I want them, but I can go a little thinner right here. Almost. I just want a nice smooth cut down in here. I really don't put these little on it. Got one little hump right there. still a little high right in there. Now that is close enough for the girls I run with. Now the only thing I need to do right now, I do want to fill that void, and I need to fill this void. I'm going to take it off the lathe, leave it in the chuck, fill those voids, and I will come back. Okay, I've sanded the edges and these wings out here. I need to take them up through 600, but before I work on that, I want to get this resin out where I filled those voids. I've sanded it to 320. I'll let that dry a minute and I'll come back and hit it with 320 again and then finish sanding out. Okay, I've got it sanded to 600. It's time to take it off the lathe and take it over to the workbench and spray the finish on it. Well, as is my luck, Home Depot is out of Def Gloss in the spray can. So I'm gonna try to brush this on and see how successful I am. So I'll come back in a half hour, put another coat on it, and then I'll let that dry pretty good. The top is finished. I need to buff it out because I'm not happy with it. Hopefully I will be after I buff it. But it's time to put finish on the back. Okay, I'll let that sit for a half hour, then I'll come back and put another coat on it. Okay, that's 2 coats. I think that's going to be enough. I'm going to let this sit a few days to cure before I buff it up. I'm not terribly happy with the finish on the inside, and I noticed a few sanding scratches that I didn't notice before. So I may sand the inside up and then re-lacquer it. I've not been able to find any deft spray, but I found some online last night and it's ordered. It should be here probably in about a week. So I'll be able to spray the inside if I do that. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm done with this for now, except for just making sure the finish is where I like it and putting my logo in. Just finished mowing. Thought I'd come in and check this thing out. We're going to call it finished, even though it's not. I'm not happy with the finish on this. So I'm going to strip it down, sand it down, and finish it again. I just don't like how that lacquer came out. I will sand this all back up and make it nice and pretty, and then I will shoot it with lacquer, and then I will put my logo coin in the bottom. It's going to be pretty when it's done. I'll put stills up then on Facebook and Instagram, but for the time being, I can't get a video out Monday if I don't wrap this up. Looking at what you're seeing in the camera, it looks just fine, don't it? But looking at what I see, I might be able to buff it out. So I may try that first. I may try to buff it out. And my next turning project, you've already seen the beginnings of on Instagram and Facebook and maybe TikTok. I scrolled a bowl and glued it together and then encased it in resin. I will be turning this just because I had a wild hair and wanted to see what it would look like. So stay tuned for that.